Hey guys, welcome back to Wings of Fire First Impressions, where I share my thoughts and experiences as a first time Wings of Fire reader. We're at the starting line for Arc 3, which means this is only the beginning of a whole new world, with new lovable characters. Without further ado, let's get started with today's talk about Book 11, The Lost Continent. Alright, friends, let's talk about Blue and his character development. Remember when I briefly mentioned Turtle going from zero to hero? Well, I do feel like that title would be more fitting for this Silkwing. Blue is probably now one of my new favorite characters in the novel series. Second to Starflight, tied up with Moonwatcher and Glory, with the latter two being there as my comfort characters. But yeah, going back to Blue's character development, in my eyes, it is sort of similar to Starflight's. Both characters would often dwell in their comfort zones until they were forced out of it, and then the character development manifests. For instance, Starflight would rely on scrolls and written facts for security, while in reality, they only help by a fraction. Similarly, Blue is a by-the-book dragon who obeys orders to stay safe. Both dragons would develop heroic traits by learning to rock the boat for once in their lives. It's probably just me, but I really like how characters develop this way. It feels more moving in a way. It feels more inspiring. In fact, I even have a song that almost perfectly matches Blue's character development. The song is called Roar by Katy Perry. At first, the song goes on about agreeing to everything and getting walked over as a result. Just like how Hivewings would take advantage of Silkwings, including Blue. Then, the lyrics would develop into something along the lines of standing up for oneself, even if it meant taking risks. Like how the music video portrays Katy confronting a tiger. Like how Blue sacrificed himself to the hands of rabid Hivewings for the other dragons to escape the Temple of Clearsight, especially for Cricket as well. Which I think is very brave. I would love to make either a PMV or an AMV of Blue using the song. It's almost perfect. Except the way the song is worded is, I think, a bit too fiery and confident for Blue's character, but nevertheless, it's still a good anthem for Blue. Another thing I would like to talk about is this little hole in the story, or at least I feel like it's a hole. I also noticed a minor inaccuracy. So when Blue, Cricket, and Sundew encountered the Librarian in the Temple of Clearsight while she was being mind-controlled by the Queen, Sundew and Cricket would cause the Queen to retreat from the Librarian's mind using bullet ants. Which, if you think about it, is a pretty solid strategy to free the Librarian from the Queen's possession, considering how painful their bites are, or rather it's supposed to be their stings. Bullet ants do bite, but they are notorious for their incredibly painful stings. So that's one inaccuracy I noticed while reading this part of the story. The bullet ants were portrayed biting the Librarian and not stinging her. Now let's go over to what I think is a hole in the plot. So Sundew would ask Cricket to find a jar of bullet ants in one of her pouches, in the same room with the Librarian, or we could just say the Queen at this point. So they are verbally communicating their plan of attack in the same room with the Queen within earshot. Now if I was the Queen with my reign to defend, the first thing I would probably do is interfere. Attack them while they're at it. But what instead happened is the Queen buying them so much time to communicate and carry out the attack. We know what the Queen wants. She probably wants them dead. She wants to keep the Book of Clearsight all to herself and defend her reign. Cricket pretty much just went up to her and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna casually place these 2 insects on your tail while you're trying to kill me." I'm not saying it's impossible for them to defeat the Queen using bullet ants. It's just that I feel like it could be carried out differently. Like maybe the Queen would knock the jar off Cricket's talons and one of the dragons, maybe Blue, if he's already brave enough, would grab it and throw it at the Queen, then let the bullet ants finish her off. That's how I feel about this part of the story. Let me know what you guys think. One secondary focus of this book I would like to talk about is Blue's relationship with Cricket. In my opinion, it is one of the healthiest relationships I've seen so far after Fathom and Indigo. Both characters have no ill intentions, like their souls are as pure as an angel's wings. Blue saw that Cricket differed from the other Hivewings. She treated him respectfully, unlike the others that trample over him. Cricket probably had only 3 interests: science, adventure, and Blue, if I want to be a little corny. And it was stated that she had always wanted to study flame silks. That's what caused her to gravitate towards him. Like both dragons had very good reasons to be together. It adds a lot more depth to the relationship. However, I do feel like this is only a potential to develop a deeper bond. Sure, they may have gotten attached to one another in just a day, but I would like to see how they would face trials, or at least episodes of trials, because they did get separated once. I'm hoping for trials as critical as the one faced by Fathom and Indigo. Both dragons endured trauma together after the Royal Massacre, and Fathom fought so many urges to follow Darkstalker's mindset of freedom for the sake of himself, the world, and Indigo as well. At the end, he wins the battle, they get together, and they live happily ever after. I would like to see how Blue and Cricket would endure such trials together. There are still 4 more books to go, so there are still plenty of ways how those trials would manifest. Because really what makes a strong relationship is trial. Put 2 lovebirds in a difficult situation and see how they work it out. Alright, that's pretty much all I want to say about the Lost Continent. You know, thinking back to the funny scene in the candy store, I've always wondered how Scarab stanked up the entire store. It's either she actually cut the cheese, or there is a natural stink ability the Hivewings have, like the ones found in stink bugs. Anyways, with that being said, thank you all so much for stopping by, and I wish you all a good day. Peace.